If I saw another day, all I do is scream into the night. Nothing ever tries to change, even if I want to realize. 'Cause I've been sitting here, same old ways, taking off without the same mistake. Darling, when you go away, it won't be as simple for you.
Right. Okay. We are live. We are live. We are live. Hey, guys. Old Man G here. RDS back again. We're a live stream for you. I'm joined by Paddy and Michael. We've got a lot to talk about, but first and foremost, Paddy, Michael, how are you guys doing?
I'll let Michael go first.
I'm doing good. Doing good, RDS. You know, summer transfer window, not much going on for your club. My club is going business, but all is well in the world.
Can I just ask a quick question? Is the quadruple still on, Michael? I just
you know,
is it? Just I need to know. You know.
Okay. Well, at least we won 2 trophies, unlike your club that hasn't won in 5 years anything.
Okay.
But the quad is not on anymore, unfortunately.
It's not. Thanks.
Big up, RDS.
Yeah. Thanks. That's it. And Paddy, who's I think not been on the channel before, so welcome to.
No,
the channel,
thank
Paddy.
you.
How you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks. I'm very pleased to be on eventually. Thank you. No, but I was going to say, just going back to the quadruple bit, I met Dwight York in the week, actually, incredibly. And we chatted, and I said to him, he's a legend. But I did say to him, I was so worried that Liverpool were going to get the treble. I'm just pleased that he was part of the treble, Dwight York. Yes, and he went, great. So that was a really good. So pleased that they didn't get the quadruple. That's great. That hasn't been. You have to. You can't be number 2. You got to be number 1. Yes. You know, there is no. You know, what is it? Defeat is an orphan, but I can remember this saying. Defeat. You know, was it? Victory has 1,000 fathers, but defeat is an orphan. So I feel that maybe you made 2 trophies, but it's not the quadruple, is it?
No. Maybe next time. Maybe next year. So
hopefully not.
Hopefully not exactly. But as we're going to talk about next, you know, the longer this sort of this circus at Manchester United goes on, I think the longer it strengthens the rivals. And obviously, for those who are watching, this was going to be predominantly a reaction to the fixture list, and we are going to be doing that later. Make sure you like the video and subscribe if you're new. But obviously, there's been a lot of stuff in the last hour or so. It's come out about the United fans that had a conversation or confrontation, depending on how you look at it, with Richard Arnold, and there's been a lot of revealing stuff from him about what he's thought about the club, the Glazers, transfers, etc. So I guess before I get the sort of Twitter thread out, I'll go to Paddy first. Like, have you read up on some of the stuff? Like, have you seen some of what's been said? Like, what are your thoughts on it? Or
I was shocked.
Initial impressions?
Well, I logged on Twitter tonight and I was shocked. I couldn't believe that they got Richard Arnold talking at the bar with a pint in his hand to the lads from the 58 Manchester group who are behind the protests. And I thought, this is shocking. It's incredible. I can't believe that he's forced himself into a meeting at a pub where he possibly could be recorded and has been saying what he's been saying. I suspect that what's gone on here is the fact that basically they were going to do protesting outside his home, and he's got really worried. And, I think the fact is the matter that he's come forward to them and met them and discussed all sorts of private stuff with them that's gone on. But I was, I think there's a few more videos to come out apparently later on tonight from the group. I know one of the group actually is, they're all in the pub tonight, all happy with their with their meeting after that. But it's interesting. One of the points that came out of the meeting was about the transfer budget, 200 million. So that's probably pleasing. But I just again, I don't know if I don't know whether Richard Arnold gave all the truth to the group or not, just to placate them. So possibly, we have to take it a pinch of salt. But he did say they're going to support the manager. And I think also as well, what came up was interesting that he scathing about the original what's gone on over the last few years with Ed Woodward. I think that's his old pal, isn't it? So and money that's been spent unwisely, so shall we say. Interesting.
And Mike is obviously as a Liverpool fan, from an outside perspective looking in. Obviously, United's a joke. That's been a thing, unfortunately, this season. But as an United fan, looking in and seeing the situation, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, so did he say something about the Glazers then, or what's going on here? Did he say something about the Glazers?
Well, from the video that oh, sorry, go on, Paddy.
Yeah, I think he I don't think he's criticised them somewhat. I don't think he could do, but what he said that I know I can't do nothing much about the owners. I know you guys don't like the owners at all. But there's nothing much I can do. There's a lot of honesty from him, so I don't think he's unless there's few other videos. The whole meeting hasn't totally come out, but it doesn't look as though he's criticised the Glazers. But I think he's trying to cement. I think he's trying to protect his reputation. Some would say. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look, from an outsider's point of view, if I take my Liverpool hat away, Man United are a complete mess. I don't know what's going on with you guys. There's no structure in the club. You don't know how to deal with signings. If you try and find a player and you try and sign him, it takes 3 years to sign the player, aka Jadon Sancho. Now it's Frankie de Jong. I mean, it's good that he speaks up and says something about the Glazers because we know they are terrible owners. They might have the money, but they don't know how to spend the money, and they don't know anything about football. They know about the American football because their team keeps on winning and keeps on performing. But when it comes to the real football, they don't know anything. And it just seems like there's no structure. They don't know how to deal with it's just a complete and utter mess. So I think it's actually, if he spoke out and said, you know what, we might have the money, and you guys have I think a great manager in Erik ten Hag, by the way. I think he's a top 5 manager in this world, to be honest. So if you back him and you give him the resources he needs, you will do well. Maybe it's just good to get all of this negative energy out of the club right now and have a bright future ahead, because it can't get any worse than this, surely.
I'm just going to bring up Eddie's comment. He said, just 2 things actually. Rich sounded a bit nervous, slow. He said the money's there, but is it really enough? And I wonder how much it is. And then it says, Rich said the Glazers have gone through a lot of money. Yeah, I think I saw a clip where it says we've spent over $1 billion. And, if you came to the training ground, would you be there's no, essentially what someone was saying is there's no evidence that we've spent over £1 billion, because just come look at the training ground, just see, so, and in order for us, I think he was saying along the lines of oh yeah, you want a stadium revamp, etc. But the reality is that in order to do that, any club in the world, if they want to get a stadium to change, you need investment. So it seems from the stuff that I saw, I think the key things that I saw were that one, and these were from the clips. There's more information coming out, but that one, he acknowledged the fact that people didn't like the Glazers, and that he wasn't here to defend Joe Glazer, although he still obviously wants them to his job. He acknowledged the fact, and this was for me the biggest thing, was the fact that he acknowledged the fact that the protests actually made an impact. That was the key thing for me that was that when he said that, listen, what you did affected affect the marketing, it affected the sponsorship, it took money from the club, and if we don't get money from the club, we're not able to buy players, do things, etc. So it was interesting because on the one hand, it was if you keep on, essentially, it was almost saying, if you keep on protesting, it's going to make my job as a CEO difficult to do because I need money for the club, right? But on the other hand, it was it was almost confirmation that, yeah, it is actually working. It is actually doing something. And so imagine if rather than next season, United fans getting hyped, oh, hey, let's go, let's get involved. Imagine if United fans made a sustained attempt from the beginning of next season to the end to just protest and protest and protest, you could potentially be in a scenario where you could potentially force the Glazers to sell.
Good.
You know, and you know, and that, so that's what I'm saying. That's amongst other things. There's obviously other stuff, but I think I was just surprised by it, because not that I was skeptical of the protest, but I always thought in my mind, oh, is it really going to make a difference? You know, is it really going to? Are they? They're probably just going to ignore it. You know what I mean? The Glazers, they're just money driven. They don't really care. Like, it is what it is. They'll just sign a play and forget about it. But the fact that they genuinely acknowledged that it hurt them, I think for me was a really, really good sign, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I think it was a good idea. And you know, it's almost like desperado tactics by a CEO, a new CEO who was part of the regime beforehand, because he was very close to Ed Woodward. They were mates. They come from university together. They worked together. They must have made these decisions together. He takes over, then gets this protest happen. And as you say, he's not happy about it. They were going to protest outside his home. So being someone who's a bit worried and desperado tactics, he's gone to the 58 groups. Please, can you just stop protesting, please? And any chance you can sort of like tone it down a bit. And it's like telling your neighbour to turn the noise down because you're upsetting what's going on in the house, you know. But you can't stop these protests, because really we want the Glazers out. We want new owners at this club. And I don't understand why it's taking so long. Can't just the status quo can't carry on. It just can't. We're like the poor relation now between the two big clubs. As Michael will tell you, you know, we're way behind Man City and Liverpool now. We shouldn't be. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. We shouldn't be. It's disgraceful. And I think Richard Arnold, please, any chance you could just stop your protests, and I'll tell you loads of things that are going on at the club. Oh, you're okay? Yeah, right, lads. You're right, yeah. And thinking, okay, this is, of course, and the lads lapped it up. Obviously, they were in that pub with a beer in his hand, going. They must have loved it. But my God, well, this, and he's basically made an idiot of himself, hasn't he? He's made a fool of himself. I'm glad he's come out and said exactly what's been going on, and promises that the manager's going to be given all the money. But the De Jong, whoever's doing the transfers, that hasn't got any better. The De Jong transfer seems to be a saga and a half. We've got one player that we're trying to get who doesn't want to go. Barcelona thinking, well, we need to get more money for him. From what I hear today from the journalist, and the conversation I heard today, that's going to rumble on. We've got time's at the essence now. We need to get, say, Ten Hag. You're right, as Michael said, Ten Hag is one of the best managers that's come along now. We need to support him with players. He needs time to prepare his squad, but he hasn't got. Unfortunately, he might end up with it might be up to the end of the August transfer deadline before we get De Jong. It's just can't happen at all. No way.
Let me quickly just read some comments before I go to you, Michael. So first of all, thank you, Samasi. Thank you so much. Samasi is now a channel member. Really, really appreciate it. We'll be doing member hangouts resuming from next week, where we'll just be talking about everything and anything. It's interesting. I actually have more non-United fans in my members hangouts than I have United fans, which is interesting. So, but really, really appreciate the support for the channel. Thank you so much. I'll just quickly read a few comments here. So from Samasi, the Glazers are the worst owners ever. Timber from Ajax rejected Manchester United. How? I'm hoping that is still a rumor. I really, really am. But if that's true, I don't know. United need to stop going after players don't want to play for them and investing in young talents that can go to the club. More than throwing money at De Jong. Okay. Bath time with Vaughan says, hi lads, thank you, buddy. I'm over the moon. We've got David Brent's tribute act talking to the fans. Kango says, those videos are terrible for our negotiations. This has a direct impact on the manager getting in his transfer targets of preseason training. We're going to get held to ransom now. What do you, before I read out the other comments, just what do you guys think about that comment? Do you think that this will have a negative impact on our transfer negotiations?
I don't think it'll make a lot of difference, to be fair, if I'm being honest with you. I just don't think those negotiations will carry on. I think it's dependent on what they do with the protests now, I suspect. If that carries on or not, considering the meeting they had today. I don't think it has an impact on the Manchester get his transfer ticket targets. It's a meeting to. I just don't think it will. Personally, no, I don't think it will.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. I think everybody realizes that United are desperate to make signings, so they're just going to boost up the prices more and more until United will just accept the price to bid. So I don't think it makes much of a difference when it comes to negotiations.
Fair enough. Congo again. Yeah, the protest got a 200 million deal cancelled with the Hut Group. So that's good. RDS's United fans are going to have to kill the Glazers before they sell. With the potential of Super League on the horizon, with the way these other leagues are going, no owner will sell. I mean, that is something, because I mean, I know Don Perez, recently in his comments against Mbappe, that I think, he did say that the Super League project is still somewhat alive and well. Now, how real that is or not, I don't know. However, I do think that it will rear its ugly head sometime again in the future, because I do see clubs getting more and more frustrated and angry with the way that, like, say, PSG in particular, maybe City, are conducting themselves. I think all it takes is a more, because let's be real, I think the reason why people rejected the Super League was because it was seen as exclusive. If they marketed another concept that was not so exclusive, you never know whether they might be able to get it through the door. I don't know, but yeah, it's possible that there might be something that we're missing with that. Just a few comments here. United are commercially the biggest. How can you not spend it on new signs when you know the manager wants to build? That is an interesting observation. Yes, United are one of the biggest commercial clubs in the world, and yet we have no money. Paddy, can you explain that sort of conundrum where we seem to generate a lot of revenue, but we don't seem to have the money to spend?
Well, again, that's an interesting one. I mean, taking the Glazers, taking a lot of money out of the club as well. But you're right. We don't know where this money is going from. And also he talks about this budget of 200 million. We don't know if that's the actual amount or not, do we? And also, I don't know how much De Jong is going to cost as well. Is he going to cost 100 million? Are we going to pay 100 million? That's half our transfer budget gone. But you're right. Where is all that money? We are commercially the biggest in the world. I just don't know where all that revenue's gone. It seems to be, it's an odd one. It's a difficult one to answer. It really is. I just don't know where this other money has gone. But we need to get this amount of money. We need to get these players in as quick as, and build this squad and help Ten Hag through now. That's the important thing.
I want to be optimistic. I really do. But when you see what a lot of other teams are doing, and you see just how United are in the transfer process, it very much seems like how United have always acted in the transfer process, which is they don't seem to have a plan. They go for one particular player, spend all the summer on one player, have no backups. It almost feels like this is like the Bruno Fernandes thing all over again, where we were linked with him, and then we sort of played hardball, and then missed out on him, and then maybe went for him in January, or in the following summer. Likewise with Sancho, and we didn't have any other alternatives. I would much rather United. For the life of me, I mean, I know people are gonna, for the life of me, I don't understand why United weren't even linked or interested in someone like, because we talk about the budget. Basuma just went to Spurs for 25 million. And you're talking about a budget. We need a defensive fielder. He's at least better as a midfielder than what we have, or people that are playing there. And he was 25 million. That's one of your problems, one of your major problems in United's squad, solved just like that. So the point is that I'm not saying United have to go to Basuma, but there must be clearly other players, if we actually have a competent scouting department, that are available that could play for Manchester United. Why is it that we always seem to go with someone who's really well known and really well established and haggle money, when we should be looking for up-and-coming players within the maybe 25 to 40 million price range that could potentially do a job that can be coached by Ten Hag to be better?
I I think you're right. I think De Jong's the one marquee signing that we need to get in. Apparently, he's the one that's being targeted, so they say, and I think it will happen. Like, you know, it will happen at some point, possibly. But what I will say is that that I wouldn't panic too much. It will have. There must be target. I suspect Ten Hag has gone to the board and said, "Look, I want these targets," and you don't know how much those are going to cost. They can't all be big money transfers. I think De Jong will be the big one. So you might see some. You might. I mean, again, there's some dates coming up. I mean, the 16th of June is the transfer window opens next week, or just open now. Sorry, 18th of June. Sorry. So it's things should be happening the next few days or next few weeks. So he might be looking at targets that are of that ilk. You never know. I just hope the tumbleweeds don't carry on for the next couple of weeks and we don't hear nothing at all. We're all glued to our Sky Sports and our Twitter feeds to find out who's coming in. And that's going to be the interesting one. But you're right. There could be some unknown gems out there that may be coming that we've not heard of, that Ten Hag has already targeted some time ago. And so you never know. We might be surprised. Seriously.
I hope so. I really, really, really hope so, because I don't think I could watch another season of what I saw last season with a squad that's basically weakened now. What your thoughts and opinions of the players that have left? At the end of the day, we've not now been left with a stronger squad. We have still got a weaker squad, and if you're not going to bring in players to reinforce that squad, then Ten Hag is, especially if you add on Europa League football with Thursday nights, etc., it's going to be quite difficult. I'll quickly read a few comments. We'll go back into this. Abdul says, they do make a difference, in my opinion. United have been briefing in the media that they're ready to walk because they don't have the money to pay over the top and a premium. This is bad. So basically saying that, you know, United are not going to be held to ransom against Barcelona, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fine. Bafton says, personally, I think the Glazers won't even think of selling until the effects of the USA World Cup in 2024 are understood. Okay, that's interesting. English Town FC, shout out to man. Richard Arnold will convert the Glazers into English as a Declan Rice over Frankie de Jong, statue confirmed for Richard Arnold. English Town FC, who I know you hype and praise English talent, and English talent is good. However, I'm not prepared for United to spend 100 million plus on Declan Rice. I don't think that is a good idea, in my personal opinion, and that's what West Ham want. Declan Rice is a talented player, but we've been here with Maguire before, where, you know, are you saying that we can't find some guy in France, in Germany, or in Europe for 30 million, 40 million that can't at least be close to that talent, if not slightly? I don't know, you know. Why should Richard Arnold say that there is money to have? Okay. Bath time, haven't we spent almost the money in the world over the last 10 years? I think possibly. I'll just read a few comments. As I said, you generate a lot of revenue, not profit. United have been losing money every year since 2018. Last time you made a profit was 2017. To make signings, it comes out of the Glazers' pockets. Yeah, so is that profit that is the based on the fact that United were bought on debt, I guess. Yeah. So does that take into account the fact that obviously if we're generating funds and then a certain amount of that money that's generated then has to then go and then pay for a loan that was taken to buy the club. So United were bought with debt and are kept in debt for a reason. So maybe that's the reason. What's this? Sorry, so yeah, but first I'll read some other comments later. So, but yeah, just so final thoughts about this. I mean, do you is this because obviously Richard Arnold is taken over from Ed Woodward. He is our CEO. Do you see from this that we are going to get more communication, more dialogue between the club, him, and the fans? Or do you think that now, because of this, and especially because the video got leaked, that this is it? That's it, no more communication. they go their way and we go our way. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I hope because the communication's been no communication has there for a long time. I'm hoping now that this has opened a door now that the communication, some dialogue can happen now between the club and the hierarchy at the club, including Richard Arnold now. And I think I'm just be interested now the next few days to see what the fallout of this video is, and do the club then start saying, oh, things were taken out of context. Richard Arnold didn't realise he was being recorded. And then suddenly we're back to square one again. We're back to the status quo that's always been. So I'm hoping there will be better communication. I hope we do, because it needs to happen. And I don't understand why it's taking so long for the communication to start now. Why?
No, I agree with that. Mike, thoughts on it? How do you? Because obviously, well, actually, what I'm asking Mike is because obviously Liverpool are also owned by American owners. Because we often say, oh, it's American owners, and so on. Liverpool owned by American owners. How do you think the FFG have handled things in comparison to how the Glazers handled things? Or do you think that in the case of Liverpool, it's just that you just were blessed by getting Klopp and his expertise, etc., and it's just worked out that way, as opposed to it's tied to your ownership, if that makes sense?
Well, I think obviously we're very blessed to have Klopp. Let's be honest here. We had Brendan Rodgers, and we saw how that went. He only got carried by Luis Suarez and Steven Gerrard during that 13-14 season. Otherwise, Brendan Rodgers was a disaster. And look at some of the signings we made as well. Balotelli, you can as much as I love Balotelli and the talent he is, we signed him on a panic buy, basically. I mean, some of the signings we made were terrible. And I think Klopp brought that sort of structure and that sort of winning philosophy back to Liverpool, which was important. Yes, you can say we've only won one Premier League and that sort of stuff. At least we won something. But I think with the Glazers, they just don't understand football, and they don't understand how to run a club. They know how to run a business and make money, and that's fine for them, but they don't know how to build a winning squad. And I think that's the biggest problem with Manchester United. You guys just sign the big stars, the big names, and pay the money. Oh, we're going to splash 90 million for Pogba. We're going to splash 80 million for Maguire. But they don't work as a team. And I think with Klopp, he and the sporting director at Liverpool, they understand, okay, we're going to make these signings. They're going to help the squad in this way, and we're going to buy them for this much. Whereas United, it just seems like, all right, we see the big name. We're going to go for him. That's it. So I think that's kind of the difference between the Glazers and FSG. Because let's be honest, FSG don't spend as much money as the Glazers. But we've also, you actually made a good point, RDS, about like the stadium and the infrastructure. Liverpool have really vamped up on the infrastructure at Anfield. We've now are redeveloping, I think, Anfield Road, if I'm not mistaken, which is then it will be the last side that hasn't been renovated. I can't remember the last time Old Trafford has gone in renovation. What was it? Early 90s, mid 90s, maybe? And then your academy. I mean, it looks like it's from the 80s, your academy, which is a shame for one of the biggest clubs around the world. So there's a lot of problems with the United at the moment.
Let's not even talk about. No. Sorry, go on, Paddy. Yeah, go on.
No, I'm going to say it's a good. You make some good points, Michael. Actually, you're right. There's been, what Liverpool have done since then is good, and they've learned, I suppose, from the signings they made, and he's done really how he's put that side together. Club's been given the time, or I hold my hands up to it, and the owners have done a good job and supported. But they've done a really good idea. They are money men. But Woodward and Arnold, they're not footballing men. They're not. They're businessmen, and have been brought in. These are clowns. They don't understand football, and that's been the problem. When I saw Arnold taking the CEO job, I went, no, it's not going to make a difference at all. They bought Murta in, they bought to sort transfers out. Got Darren Fletcher in there. Oh God, give me strength. I just hope things get better, because it can't get any worse. But you're right. We had David Gill there supporting Sir Alex Ferguson many years ago. David Gill was a footballing man. They knew how to get transfers done. Suddenly we've gone the other way. We've stepped into ineptitude, to incompetence now with these people, and I think that it's dreadful.
In fairness, I sort of do agree with Bafton with one in a second. I'm not finding, but Woodward is more at fault for most of the stuff that's been leveled against him tonight, and I don't completely disagree with that with that sentiment, because he was in charge, and a lot of the complaints. You know, we're going to be talking about the Pogba documentary tomorrow, for example. So, but one of the things that are recurring with our players is the way that they handle contracts with players. You know, so allowing the contracts to run down, triggering them in the last year. You know, I don't necessarily think that. I mean, I don't know whether that's the Glazers higher up doing that. Whether that doesn't sound like something that the Glazers higher up would do or think to do. That for me sounds more like
it was Ed Woodward.
Ed Woodward, what they would do exactly. You know,
and you've got brought a good example there of giving Phil Jones a long contract. Why? Oh my God, that player should have left this club a while ago. Phil Jones, never a central defender at this club. And again, I remember Ed Wood going on MUTV talking about what we're going to do, and then it's next season we're going to bring this player and bring that player. We weren't putting a team together. We just weren't. It was just to placate the fans, really, and that was the problem. It was trying to be friends. We're going to bring Schweinsteiger, and we're going to bring, I don't know, there's a few other Galacticos we're going to bring in. It just didn't last.
Yeah.
Paul Pogba was £90 million. Again, I know we'll go on to it later on, but disaster. You know, I'm going to
quickly just stop sharing the screen for a second, just show the Twitter thread for this, and then we're just going to move on to the reactions. But this is what I saw in terms of this I think one of the person that was there, a guy called Jerry. And here, I think, can everyone see that? I think everyone can see that, can they? Yeah. So he says, to set the story straight, we met with Richard Arnold today after plans to go and protest outside his house. Probably not the best thing to do, but there we go. Got out and somehow got back to him. Rat. Well, you know, it's not ideal. So he came down to the pub where we were all meeting before going to his, which is also his local. He gave us a heavily scripted speech, which none of us fell for. He said his hands are tied because he's not getting the investment he needs to make Man United great again. He was like another Neil Ashton full of PR nonsense. What he said, in not so many words, is that attacking sponsors affects the money he needs, and that if it carries on, the Glazers have to put their hands in their own pockets, brackets, no chance of that. He is there to run Manchester United as a business, not a football club. So the sponsors getting angry at him and affecting his job is something he was trying to put a stop to. If when we get new owners in, he knows full well he wouldn't be the CEO, why the bleep would we have Liverpool fan CEO from a rugby background, not football? He tried and failed miserably to make us feel sorry for him. To summarize, he's a good guy. Okay? For getting us a few beers, he is a multimillionaire. He says he's against the dividends and doesn't agree with them being taken. He does generally want the best for the club, but his hands are tied, and new owner /protest /sponsor bashing just makes his job harder /obsolete. He is far, far better than Woodward and will do a better job, but that's not saying much. The only thing he deserves respect for us coming to chat with a bunch of angry United fan wrong-uns. Apart from that, he's in it for himself, and protecting the Glazers means protecting his job and his own interests. He told it all like a true politician, waffle, evasiveness, and PR. He's confirmed the protests are working, and relentless pressure and sponsor bashing will only help get rid of the Glazers, so you know what to do, Reds. So that was the full thing, you know. So I think that pretty much summarizes kind of almost like what we said, where, you know, he came out, it's good, it is as it is, but at the end of the day, like it's ultimately to protect, you know, what he wants to protect, if that makes any sense. Would people agree?
It was a form of placation, wasn't it? That's what it was, a form of placating the fans. And I don't think it's worked by the sounds of it. And those fans, that group there, didn't placate them in any way at all, did it? That's, you know, that's his local. I understand that, but protesting at someone's house is not the best thing to do. I've got to be honest with you. There's a better way of dealing with this, but they've obviously done it, and he's fell for it and come back to the pub and explained everything by the sounds. But I haven't seen the whole video of it, to be fair. But it does sound to me as though he's trying to placate them and with all this. And
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, if you're going to a man's house with his family, like there's, you know, so I don't agree personally. I don't agree with going to a man's family, a man's house, and personally that. I don't think that's tactful personally. And of course, if you're thinking, you know, what's the best way to resolve the situation? It probably is to sort of go in peace, have a conversation. Don't make the club group too bad, but at the same time, just throw a bone so that at least you can, get the attention away from, what's going on with you. And in that sense, he probably has succeeded. I don't think people will be going to his house and wanting to protest around his house anytime soon, because they've shown that he's had the conversation. Whether that will affect his relationship with the Glazers or not remains to be seen, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. I think you're right. What you've just said. I think that may stop it for a while now, especially outside his house. I don't know whether it will stop outside the ground. I think that may still will continue, because if they know, if the lads now, if the protest team 58 know that it's working, they'll carry on, and fair play to them, because the Glazers have to go. It's not right, and it's sad that we have to protest. It really is very sad that we have to go to these lengths, or player fans have to get at least an answer about what's going on. We're not a lowly club, are we? We're one of the biggest clubs. I keep saying that, and we still are, in my view. I go back to our history. I'm still tied to this. It's important to us. And Michael will say about their history of Liverpool. It's really important to Liverpool and to him. So it's sad, isn't it? It really is sad that we have to go to these links.
No, I absolutely agree. Just read a few comments, and we're going to move on to just looking at the fixtures, guys. Remember, guys, if you're watching, remember to subscribe to the channel and like the vid. It goes a long way. Really appreciate it. Helps for the algorithm. But thank you so much for those joining. And obviously, if you have any questions for myself or anyone on the panel, please get the questions in about Manchester United or maybe just football in general, and we'll be happy, obviously, to answer them. So get those questions in. If you want to support the channel, obviously consider subscribing. You can become a member, and obviously you can send a super chat. Everything all goes back into the channel to try and make quality content for you guys. Now I'm back on the grind. Right. So let's quickly just share. So we'll have a look at these fixtures now. I mean, I'm already dreading next season anyway. I'm very looking at what other clubs are doing. I'm very, 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 very concerned about next season. But they've obviously released the fixtures for next season. What's going on here? Here we go. Scored up all the way up. Bless you. So I think we'll start. Yes, just here. Just maximize that a bit. Hopefully everyone can see that.
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
And hopefully when. Right. So for those watching the comments, let us know what you think. If things are to stand the way they are right now, please let us know what your realistic expectations are for Manchester United going in next season. But I'll quickly go through maybe some of the fixtures up until to December to see what people think. And obviously start with you, Patrick. But we obviously start with we're at home to Brighton. Is that good? we've given. I'm saying that, and the thing is, but you know what happened? Literally, it was just a month ago. They put 4 past us quite convincingly as that, and so far I've not seen anything in the transfer window that may suggest that we're stronger to beat Brighton. I know they've lost, Basuma, but is it wrong for me to say that I'm actually worried about this game if things are the way they are?
I've got to be honest with you. I see what you're saying, but remember, it's the 7th of August. It's a long way off at the moment. Let's see what happens before then. But they've just I think Cucurella's going to possibly go to Man City. They've lost Basuma.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
but Brighton are a good side actually. They are a very, very good side. They've got a good manager, and they might unearth some other gems that will draft in to replace the players that have left. So but it's a long way off, mate. I wouldn't get too panicky yet. But you're right to be cautiously optimistic, because if the tumbleweeds continue on, we don't have any signings before August. We're in a bit of bother. And the same players we've got at the moment, this team, I'm very critical of some of the players we've still got this side. But even if Ten Hag comes in and changes a system with them, may possibly. But the pre-season is going to say all that, isn't it? And before then, we'll see how he's going to play it. But you're right. It's going to be an interesting fixture, given we were trounced by them a month ago.
Yes. Very. I mean, Mike, obviously, is a Liverpool fan. Well, in fact, I'll come to you, Mike, because there's an interesting fixture here which I'm surprised by, because we play Brentford away, which I'd like to think that United should be able to get the win there. But this is the key one here. This is the key one. I can't remember the last time we played Liverpool this early. I genuinely can't remember the last time we played Liverpool this early.
08-09 season.
All right. Interesting.
That was what? That must have been a good 12. How many? No, not even 12. What? That's what was
the score, Michael? Can you remember?
Yeah, 15.
2-1 Liverpool. Ryan Babel scored the winner after I think Edwin van der Sar and I want to say Vidic. They had a mix up in the back in the first half, and then we got the 2-1 lead. But we don't need to talk about who won the league that season. We forget about that part.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, are you beat us?
You won the battle, but we won the war. Yeah,
exactly. We won both the battles.
The home. So those are the days when Liverpool would celebrate just beating United as a trophy, and how the tables have turned.
Yeah, but you guys remember when Rafa Benitez made those comments during the season as well? Those were actually good days. I love those battles, to be honest. Now it's just a training session versus United, unfortunately.
So I mean, some of the comments here. I mean, Matthew says 11 points from the first 6 games. I mean, when you look at these are obviously the first 6. I mean, Brighton, Brentford, Liverpool at home, Southampton away, Leicester away, Arsenal at home. I mean, it's weird, but this for me, this is an easy run. This is an easy first 6 games. Brighton are an organized side with a good coach. Liverpool. Arsenal can be hit or miss depending on how they do things. Southampton again can go either way. Leicester, we know what happened with Leicester, but obviously Brendan Rodgers has his own issues and might be losing some players. I mean, Mike, as a Liverpool fan, do you think that the loss of Sadio Mane, do you think that's society? Do you think that Liverpool are going to be weaker going into the season? You know, Daniel Nunes that playing around, that if you come to Old Trafford, that at the very least you're not going to put 5 past us like last time. How? Sorry about that. That's my connection.
Well, I'll just talk about Liverpool. Yeah, I'm still here. When it comes to the United Liverpool game, the third match day, I mean, I'm surprised it's so early in the season, but it's hard to say how Liverpool will go into this season so far. Based on the signings, I would say we are a little bit weaker because Darwin Núñez is very much an unknown striker. Let's be honest here. The guy's had one good season with Benfica, and then we paid 80 million euros. I still can't believe it. 80 million euros for a one-season wonder. It is shocking to me. But look, at this moment, I would expect Liverpool to beat Man United with the players you have. Let's just keep it real. If you still have McTominay, Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and these sort of guys still in midfield and defense, I would expect our attack to still score some goals. But look, you guys can make some signings, and it could be a totally different game. And definitely Erik ten Hag is going to make a difference to this side. How big of a difference? I don't know yet. But also, I think we're playing a preseason friendly against each other in Thailand, I believe, late July. So maybe that'll give us a little bit of an indication on how Erik ten Hag wants to play as well.
Paddy, these first 6 fixtures, so obviously going to the next fixtures, but these first 6, because obviously some people already said, I mean, Matthew said 11 points from the first 6 games. I think Samasi said 12 points from Southampton, Brentford. So basically we should beat. So I think Samasi saying that we should be able to beat Southampton, Brentford, and Leicester, and presumably beat Brighton or maybe Arsenal as well. You know, do you think that? What I'll say is, what do you think that we need to do in the summer? I'm not saying give me names, but I mean, what do you think that we need to do in order for you to be reassured that we're going to start the season well? That's probably the better question.
Okay. I mean, first of all, Ten Hag's going to come in and change the system to his system and change the players. But I'm hoping that we change the midfield's changed. I hope that definitely defence is going to change, because we can't carry on with the defence we've got at the moment, because they were a comedy last season, weren't they? To be fair, let's be honest with you. And you never know. It depends on what system he plays, and hopefully he will strengthen those positions. But then it won't be too many changes. There won't be too many players coming in, given the budget we've got, apparently. But what I will say is that Brighton and Brentford especially, they were great last year, but it's their first season syndrome, isn't it? So I don't expect them to come back in the second season this year. But I think if we get the momentum going, we might actually, if we get Brighton out of the way, the momentum might drag us in then for these games, especially against Liverpool. I don't think it'll be a 5-0 thrashing or 4-0 thrashing that we experienced against Liverpool this time. But you're right, Michael may have a point saying we've still got the same team, maybe without any signs at all. Then I would be concerned.
Fair enough. Apologies, for some reason my Wi-Fi is being unstable. So if I've been jipping in and out, I will apologize about that. Right. Okay. My brother's actually saying I should just move positions. I'm gonna be off camera for 2 seconds so I can actually get my Wi-Fi can be stable a bit. But so while I'm just sort of doing that, let me just quickly just scroll to the next 6 fixtures actually. So Palace away, United against Leeds, City away in October already, Everton away, Newcastle at home, who obviously Newcastle were doing a lot of good business this transfer window, and then obviously Spurs at home. Guys in the comments, points from these games. Paddy, Michael, do you? This looks for me. I mean, we always batter Leeds. I'm not really concerned about Leeds. We'll deal with them. But the other fixtures, when you look at how Tottenham strengthened, when you look at how even Vieira, for example, has done his thing with Palace, City, enough said. Everton, I don't really know whether they still going to be sticking with Frank Lampard, given how he was with them last season, and Newcastle, enough said. So, is this? What do you guys think?
I think we're talking about Everton. I think they were lucky. I mean, how they suddenly come good at the end of the season because they were surviving. What happened to the rest of the season? I don't think they'll start the season well at all. I don't think. I think Newcastle will be a struggle. You're right. They've probably got a 2 billion budget, haven't they? So they will be good this year, and they'll again, they've got a good manager there, doing a good job there. Tottenham, again, a good manager there. They'll spend. That'll be a tough one. Man City, well, that'll be an interesting one, won't it? I mean, to be fair, especially with their new signings, with especially Haaland at the back, up front for them, and hopefully we'll have a central defender. We've still got Maguire there against Haaland. Then that'll be a whitewash, won't it? So it'd be interesting. Palace, don't know. Palace under Patrick Vieira, they've done really well. I think that'll be a test. Really will be a test, and they've got Sahar there still for them. So that'll be an interesting one. Don't know what you think, Michael.
I mean, it is pretty tough fixtures, I must say. If you're playing City, Everton away, Newcastle at home, because we know they're going to be strengthening with all their squads, and Antonio Conte, that's a pretty tough schedule for October, I must say. But look, everybody has to play each opponent twice, so it doesn't really matter. You just got to go through the fixtures and see how the team. At this point, you're going to see how Erik ten Hag wants his side to play. If you don't see any real improvements in the side, that's when you know the squad is just not good enough. For me, at least, when it comes to Erik ten Hag, I think he is the right manager, but you just have just terrible players at the moment. Absolutely garbage players, I have to be honest. It just reminds me of Liverpool in the early 2010s. Just terrible players, but with a terrible manager still. But you guys have an excellent manager, but with just terrible players. So, I mean, that Manchester derby, it's not even a competition anymore, unfortunately. Actually, to be fair, Ole did well against City. That was the only side he really did well against.
He did. Yeah.
It's just everybody else, it wasn't the greatest. So let's see how Erik ten Hag is going to approach that game. Because if he wants to play football against Pep Guardiola's side, it could get bad again. It could.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just go again in the comments again. Let's have just a look. Yes, but few people talking about the Pogba documentary. We'll be talking about that tomorrow. Have a look. Bathroom with Vaughan says to strengthen the team, we need to look at the spine first. To me, a goalkeeper, CDM, and Seeds at centre back would help us so much. Samasi in with Liverpool says 3-1 to Liverpool. And Matthew, shout out to Matt says, I'll be here to watch the show tomorrow, but as the Pogba going, particularly bothered. We'll be certainly dissecting poor Pogba tomorrow. I think there are a few choice words to say about that. Samasi, 7 points draw, Palace, win Leeds, win Everton. Shout out to Rich Sports. That's coming there. Hopefully he's doing well, Rich. And obviously, by all means, subscribe to Rich's channel and support him. And also subscribe to Michael's channel as well. Michael talks football as well. So he's a Liverpool fan, but covers a lot of has a lot of football content. So please, for those who guys are watching, please head over and subscribe to Mike's channel as well. He's posting a lot of really good football content. His channel is really growing as well, and he's a good friend. So please head over and subscribe to his channel and as well. And we'll talk about Twitter handles towards the end. Anything else? And Abdul here says the most important part isn't the players you bring in. The most crucial thing is that players don't throw everything on the bus like they did with Ralph. That's I think that is important because the players do have a history of underperforming, and we can't have a situation where the players just can't be bothered. They can't play because I was embarrassed to see just the fact that a lot of players just didn't care. And because to be honest, United should have got top 4 this season. We should have. It was so.
No.
When you look at the some of the points that we got against the Watfords, again, when Spurs, when Arsenal, when some of the teams, it should have been there, and yet Manchester United they didn't. So I don't want to see. I appreciate that. There's a lot on the board. There's a lot on the Glazers, there's a lot on, but there is also something on these players that these players also have to be professionals. And at times last season, I just didn't see that professionalism.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, Roy Keane talked about it and some of the on the shows that he was on. These players shouldn't need a manager sort of to influence them and get them going. But obviously, Guardiola has had an impact, and Jurgen Klopp on his players. They're playing for him, but they're all playing as a team. But our players, right, and those games, Liverpool, Man City, we gave up, and that's just shameful for these players just to give up. Is utterly shameful from a fan's perspective watching it. Because look, I drove all the way to Man City from the Midlands and back again. I mean, to drive back, I won't forgive them for that. That was just depressing. And our team, I mean, Man City did pass us into next year. Don't get me wrong, but they played well that day, and we just couldn't get hold of the game. But we were nowhere top 4 this year, no way, mate, at all. We just weren't. Some of them games we weren't good enough, and our defensive frailties were there to be seen, weren't they? They really were. Maguire, I watched Maguire and Shaw. I mean, you'd have to put them on a comedy sitcom like that. Only Fools and Horses or something like that.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? You would have to. I think they bumped into each other a couple of times. They didn't. Varane came in. You're right, as new defender with Maguire. But I watched them really close up, and I really did watch them close up. I was really at a seat that's very close by, and I saw them. They don't communicate. They just don't communicate. Now we haven't had a centre half pairing probably since Vidic and Ferdinand. That's the last time. That is the last time. So there you go.
I don't know what happened after the Euros, because obviously a lot of the players that were in the England team, went to the Euros. Shaw, Maguire, Sancho, Rashford, etc. And I really don't know what happened in the Euros. That as soon as the Euros happened, all these players were just bad. I really, really don't understand it. I think Maguire had a great Euros. I think Shaw had an even better Euros. And although Sancho, Rashford were barely used, but just somehow they just all completely capitulated after that. I really hope that doesn't carry on to next season. I expect a better season from Sancho. I expect Rashford to actually play football. I expect Maguire to at least try and improve his positional ability. He's not going to be quick, but at least improve your decision making and your positional, awareness. Go on.
But going back to Maguire, he just hasn't got that though.
Yeah,
you can't build that on him. You can't get Ten Hag to go. Well, if he hasn't got the positional sense now, or the way of that of following the ball, he just isn't a great centre half, and he's not a centre half for our club as a Manchester United fan. He's not of that standard. I've seen a lot of arguments, a lot of people saying that Ten Hag comes in, he's going to improve Maguire next season. Right. I'm cautiously optimistic on that. I really am. Or Luke Shaw. I mean, Aaron Bissaka hasn't been sold yet. I suspect he may be or not be. But we're going to have to check. We're going to have to really shore up that centre back position. I just got Sancho. I watched Sancho last year. Great. He started towards the second half of the season. He had a bit of touches like his old Dortmund self, but then. The substance wasn't there then after that then. And Rashford completely, I don't know what happened to him. He lost it completely. He lost his confidence. He just wasn't the same player. And one thing that I worry about, did he peak a long time ago? Is that it? Is that it?
That is the question. And then you have to ask the question, like, are we now going to just continue with players and hope that they will, because to be honest, with a lot of players, there's a lot of, they'll come good, they'll get better. Shaw's a good example of that. And it's like, how long are you going to wait for a player to come good when they've had so many chances, been on so many different managers, and you're now thinking, right, okay, we're going to see the best of them in another season, when more often or not, they've actually not shown that consistency to be good enough for Manchester United. Is that how a big club like Manchester United should be run? Solo, shout out to Solo in the chat. Solo, big up with Paddy and the panel. Thanks very much, Solo, from the Man United agenda. Appreciate you guys, and head over there to sub for those guys as well. I think if I scroll down a bit, so that's October now. So I said we should go up to Christmas. So next 6 fixtures: Chelsea away. Chelsea have got their own issues, I guess. West Ham at home, Villa away, Fulham away, Nottingham Forest at home, and then Wolves away. It's weird because if things are the way they are, I'd be somewhat confident playing against Chelsea Football Club. I think that I'm not sure how Fulham are now. They still have. Is he still the manager? What's his name again? Mike, remind me. Who's the manager of Fulham again?
Parker.
It's still Scott Parker. That's the name. Yes. He's still the manager of Fulham, is he?
No, it's not. He's not the manager anymore. It's Fabio Silva.
Fabio Silva,
the guy who used to be at Everton. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Who they sacked because Everton are probably. Everton are probably the only club right now that I think are big of a joke in terms of the hierarchy in management than Manchester United. Because they've spent a lot of money. And I know we spent money and we're complaining about not winning titles. They spent a lot of money and are battling relegation. That's probably even more humiliating. And I don't actually understand how or why. But
I said earlier when you before you just had to go off cam for a while. Why did they just come good right towards the end of the season? What happened before that season? What happened before then? They're fighting for their lives, so they come out and win those games. Why should they have to? So it's very strange at all with Everton. You're right.
No, I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised that Lampard hasn't been sacked.
Facts.
I don't really, because other managers in Everton were sacked for less. I know Ancelotti left to Real Madrid, and fair enough, but for the others, it was like, and what's his name? I think Big Sam saved them, and he actually he saved them in a better way, in my opinion, than Lampard did. And yeah,
he's the fireman. Big Sam's the fireman, isn't he? He comes out and puts the fire out, and then they get rid of him. He goes to another club, another fire. He puts the fire out. That's what Big Sam's all about, isn't it? It's sad, really, isn't it, to bring this sort of the manager from the outside, you know.
I mean, I can't hate it because he does it well and he gets a good handsome payoff when he gets sacked. But it's just the fact that I don't understand Everton's logic that they're willing to hold on to a man that basically took them for a relegation battle, but for the fact that they somehow managed to beat. Like, if United and Chelsea actually did their job properly and beat Everton, Everton would have been relegated. They were saved because they somehow managed to beat Chelsea and United Football Club. And I still hold that as a disgrace because they shouldn't have beaten those two football clubs. Yeah. But, you know, I think this is a good thing for Voss. This. I'm so sad Duncan Ferguson left Everton. I've been waiting years for him to belt that oversized Lambert Cup and toucher. That's a fair point, actually. That is a fair point. To be honest, the best I saw Everton play in recent years was when Duncan Ferguson had that brief stint at Everton. And I still remember when they came to Old Trafford and he that was, I think, the game when Everton scored from De Gea mistake, or he was assaulted in the goal. I don't know which one, but Everton actually played really well during that season. But they've not recovered since, you know. So I didn't actually know he left, but that's.
Yeah, I like Duncan. I like Duncan, Big Dunk. I do. A great player for them, isn't he? Great big lumping centre forward. Yeah.
Yes.
Old school striker.
Old school.
Yeah. Fergie used to say you just hated playing against him because he'd always give the defenders trouble, wouldn't he?
Yes. Yeah. He just, and you know, even now, like you see him now, it's like he's not a type of guy you want to mess with, to be honest. He could very easily hold his own, you know. So like, I think Klopp would even Klopp would be like, yeah, it's fine. I've got to back off from him. Right. So actually, sorry. So this is actually, sorry. I'm just looking at these. Actually, this is actually up until New Year. So this is going into New Year. But so last 6 Premier League fixtures. Obviously, things will be delayed based on FA Cup. There's obviously going to be EPL fixtures as well, Europa League fixtures, and so on. But yeah, the last game of the season is away to Wolves. Boxing Day is at home to Nottingham Forest, and then obviously we have these other games.
But in between, though, we got the World Cup. Remember that
is true. Exactly. No wonder there's a big gap. It's like, why is there such a big gap between?
No,
it's the World
huge.
Cup,
and that might have an impact on the season when the players come back. Are they all going to be tired again because you know they've all had a bit of a tough time in Qatar in the sun, and I don't know. That's going to be a bit of an interesting one.
I mean, also, a lot of your players are going to the World Cup as well. Basically, your starting 11 is going. When you think about it, except for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but everybody's going to go from your starting 11, except for Mike McTominay.
Is De Gea
goes?
He'll go and he'll be backup probably.
Backup, okay, yeah. So De Gea will go, Maguire will go, Shaw will go probably. We still don't know whether Rashford or Sancho are going. We still don't know whether Sancho will go.
Well, he has said though that he won't take. He will take Maguire, but he did say, didn't he, last week that Southgate said that he may not. Some of those players are under the microscope at the moment.
Yeah,
but he will go. He will go with the tried and tested, won't he? Because he will do with Southgate. And again, that's another subject for another story. To be fair, but which I'm not a big fan of being a manager in it as he is not good enough.
Yeah, but then also Ronaldo will go, Fernandes will go, Fred will go.
Yeah,
Fred will go.
We got a lot of players going to the World Cup, so let's see how they're going to look like after the World Cup.
Yeah. I guess Van de Beek will probably go to the Netherlands as well, and if we get Frankie De Jong, he'll probably go as well.
I don't know about Donny going, to be honest, because Louis van Gaal, he's actually a manager who actually sticks to his word and said it depends on how well you're playing at club, because Gini Wijnaldum didn't get selected to the last international break. Because his club form has gone so bad. I don't know what happened to Gini Wijnaldum. He's terrible.
Yeah, well, you're right on that. Louis van Gaal doesn't take prisoners, to be fair, with players that aren't good enough. He won't. He'll make his own mind upon that. He's not like Southgate goes, well, you know, he's my mate, isn't he, Maguire? So he will come with me. I know he's been really poor and really terrible, but it doesn't matter for me. You know, that's the difference, isn't it? You know?
If it's one thing I know, it's that I'd be very, 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 very shocked if 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 this Van der Beek saga continues, and that Ten Hag doesn't play Van der Beek. Like I'd be shocked, like he was his manager, his trainer. Like I already think that he will be in the starting 11 already. He might play McTominay and Van der. Like I don't think. I'd be very surprised if Van der Beek's available that we see McFred in the midfield. It's either going to be Van der Beek and McTominay most likely. So I think Fred will be put aside, which I guess is fine. But
I'm not a big fan of this midfield. I'm not a big fan of this midfield whatsoever. McTominay, Fred, not some of my friends like Fred. I'm just not, and I think it'd be interesting to see if Donny Van Beek does come in actually. And it'd be interesting. We'll see more on the pre-season tour actually to see if these players are going to be put in the side, especially Van der Beek. If Ten Hag puts Van der Beek in that to see how he's going to play, there might be that might be a taster for the first few games. So that will be the test, won't it? Litmus test for those first few games.
Well, I wonder whether because he wants to play, he wants De Jong. He wants to play Van der Beek and De Jong in a double pivot. That's the potential one thing. Is the situation where I want De Jong, so I'm going to play De Jong, Van der Beek, and then maybe Bruno ahead in that number 10 position.
Yeah, maybe,
possibly.
Maybe. It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting coming in. It really is. It's really, really going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to that, to seeing what selection he has and what system he's going to play. It really is.
Abdul, who I know is a Barca fan, says De Jong's problem is when the team is having a bad game, he isn't the player to stand out. He crumbles alongside the rest of the team. When the team is playing well, he plays well. Frustrating. So in shouts, I think there's Martin Azars in the chat as well. So, I mean, like I said, you don't know because Ten Hag obviously knows Van der Beek, he knows De Jong, so he's managing the coach, so he probably knows how to get to the best of their abilities. So we will see. Bath Time does say that DVB and De Jong is a double pivot, is a terrible idea. To be honest, we will get killed on transitions as neither can play in the rest of defense, and that for me that's a problem. But I just then wonder, like, what is, because I can't see Ten Hag dropping Van der Beek, or at least not wanting to play him. So that means that if he's going to play, we're going to spend the money to get De Jong. De Jong is going to be a starter. So then there only have two other midfield positions. He's going to want to try Van der Beek. So that means that, I mean, I don't know, maybe.
But what happens if he doesn't get De Jong? What happens then?
James Garner probably. That's the we're laughing, but maybe that's the. Would you be surprised if in 2 weeks in the transfer window, we're like, the statement is something along the lines of, we didn't see value in the market, and we're now going to use the resources we have available, and Garner, will probably be recalled to the squad, and he'll be used. So it'll be Garner, Van der Beek, and then maybe Bruno, something like that.
God Almighty! That will worry me with these fixtures coming in. That's going to happen because Garner can't be thrown in. This young lad from. I mean, Forest might keep him. I think he should be kept at Forest for another season, in my view. But you're right. If he throws Garner in like that with Van der Beek, and it will concern me. Then I think definitely. If they say, "Oh well, things haven't worked out the transfer," we're still trying. It's like it's waiting for the phone to pick up, and the phone's still ringing out. That's what it sounds like. But you don't know, do you? You just don't know. But to throw young Garner in that will be. I mean, then again, we'll see how he does pre-season, what system he plays in. Pre-season is going to be what it's 12th of July. I think just before then those games. I think Michael, is it July? We're playing in the Thailand.
Yeah, somewhere in July. Yes, somewhere in July we're playing against each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Yeah. There you go. So it's going to be interesting what team setup he plays. Like you say, Van der Beek, but Garner might play in those games, so that'll be interesting. But to throw him in like that, though, because pre-season doesn't always say how the season's going to play, does it really? It's just friendlies, aren't they? It's not the proper games, is it? As we move into the first half of the season, and so it's interesting.
As we just round things up, guys, thanks so much for watching. Remember, if you're new to the channel, subscribe and please like the vid. Like the vid, it goes a long way. Oh, I saw Tom in the background. You've come out. I was going to bring you in. But you've gone out. If you're still watching, Tom, you can come and have your say. So I guess, any questions in the chat, post the questions. We'll get through them. But just final thoughts on. We'll do obviously a season preview close to the season, but final thoughts, Paddy, on how you see United, if things are the way they are and they continue the way they are right now, where you see United ending up next season, and then obviously Michael as well, and then we'll round up.
I think I am optimistic, especially with again, he's a good manager. He's not a bad manager. And I think if he can try and get at least maybe top 4 next season, I'll be happy with that. I do think I'm optimistic this manager and who he brings in, and then we'll see what happens after them. But I'm optimistic, and I think top 4 could be where we could probably end up next season, possibly. That's my prediction for the season coming up.
I mean, United are not going to make top 4 at this rate, unless you make some very good signings in the transfer window. But it was my controller going crazy. Because your squad is not better than Chelsea's. Tottenham are making really good signings. The only thing you have going on at the moment is your manager, who is a fantastic manager, but he's got to get the players. And if you don't get the players, you're going to struggle again and again and again. So it's about now building the squad in a proper way. And if you just keep on going with the way you're trying to make signings in, like Sancho, and takes years and years, and Fernandes with this Frankie de Jong, why is it always now with United? You focus on one. Look at, like, I don't want to compare it to Liverpool, but Liverpool said, all right, Nunes, our guy, we're going to get it done in less than 3 or 4 days. And it was done like that. With United, it just seems like it's week on week on week. It's like Love Island. It's just week after week of episodes. And now this is just the Frankie de Jong Love Island saga. I don't understand. But for me, based on the way United are going at the moment, I mean, look at Arsenal. They're even strengthening. If they get a striker, they might have a better season than you lot again. So it could be another 6th place finish. And once again, Thursday night football. I hope you guys play in Finland, by the way. So I can go watch. I can go watch Harry Maguire on artificial turf. That would be absolutely fantastic in the snow.
Bless you. Nightmare.
So let me quickly. I think there was some. So I asked Paddy 2 questions. You're gonna make this again. So let me just scroll back. So what was the? Let's see. Where was the question from Bath Time? As one. So Paddy, how mad does it make you? The only player in the last 3 years that's never been dropped when fit is McTominay.
Yeah, I know. I saw that from, bless him, Darius there. I still don't think he's good enough though in that midfield. I've got a real difficult feeling. He wasn't. I mean, he hasn't been dropped. He just put his effort in. But I think the previous managers weren't good enough, were they? Solskjaer not fit enough. I don't think it was a poor manager for us. He may have got us where we got to, but he wasn't the next manager to take us on. I don't think he was in the ilk of your manager, Michael, or the ilk of Guardiola, was he? But I'm surprised that he has done it. I just don't think he's good enough in that midfield for us to take. I want better than McTominay. I want a better standard of playing our midfield. That's what I want.
But it costs money, though. It costs money and it costs time, and you have to sign a player that's better than McTominay, and that's something we're not good at.
I know a player that's better than someone that's just gone to Spurs for 25 million. That's a guy called Basuma. It was 25 million.
But we don't have a Fabio Paratici in our club. We don't. That's an elite level director of football that knows what he's doing. We don't.
You're right. You're absolutely right, fella. And I think that's the problem. We've got these inept. Again, I said in the week, inept. I mean, Gary Neville said it's still going on, isn't it? It's obviously we're not learning lessons from the past. We just haven't got a team of people dealing with transfers, and the communication must be rife and poor. You're right. Things aren't correct and right there. But we've got to get some better. We've got to get some better. We've got to get this better. We've got to get better than this. We really have. It's really worrying. Very much worrying.
Question to Michael: how many goals does Michael think Nunes will get, or
He'll do well.
or does he, or will he flop?
He better get 20 goals. That's all I have to say. He's under pressure
20
to get 20
goals.
goals.
20 goals. That's a lot.
No. I said he has to get 20 goals because that's what Sadio Mane got last season. What do I think Nunes will get? I say he will get 10 to 15.
Really? I think he'll get more than that. He's a good player. He's scored loads for Benfica, hasn't he? His scoring rates are fantastic.
I don't know. I don't know about this signing. It's very skeptical towards me. I'm getting Andy Carroll vibes a little bit.
Oh, really? That bad?
No, I'm serious. No, I'm serious. Like, I've talked to a couple of Benfica fans, and they said that, yes, he's a super talented player, but very raw, doesn't have really good hold-up play, not very good in tight spaces. And I think to myself, okay, a lot of teams against Liverpool last season set up in a low block. Well, then he's going to struggle in a low block, and he's just going to have to get great crosses in from Trent and Robbo and head them in, he's very good in the air, but it's a whole different story. Scored against Santa Clara and Vitoria and Porto and Sporting against Manchester United, Man City, and these sort of clubs. So he has to get 20 goals at the end of the day.
Yeah, interesting. Fascinating.
Was there any other questions in the chat? I don't. Hey, so did someone say? Sorry, 1 second. What metric is Basuma better at than McTominay? What I will say is that, like, I've watched the times that Brighton have played Manchester United
and dominated us,
and he basically single-handedly dominated our midfield. He might not have better pass stats or goals, but when we played against him, when he's been there, I know which midfield I'd rather have. I'll just keep it a stat. He was there, and that's a midfield that even included Matic, Pogba, and Bruno at times.
Did we lose to Brighton? Didn't we get destroyed by them? Was it 4-1?
Even the last few seasons when he's been there, the last 2 seasons, So
to be fair, if I'm being honest though, I feel like the point I got with McTominay is, like, I don't like to pick on him. I feel like at times when we speak about McTominay's lack of what he lacks, I feel like at times it's like it becomes very redundant. Honest to God, it's not even his fault. It's not his fault that we have limited options in midfield. It's not his fault. Like, and I was thinking about it. Was it either today or yesterday? I think it was a mistake to let Matic go. At this point, I'm looking at it. I genuinely do.
Let me just Lee K says, people need to relax. Why the panic? G's, all targets other clubs have made were ongoing for 4 months, and some took a year before it had been done. Take a chill pill, please.
But isn't that the problem?
I don't think anyone's panicking, but I mean, I'm not entirely sure whether that's correct.
No, I think we're worried. I think there's a cautious optimism at the moment. There's a slight worry, only a small bit of worry. That's all. I don't think there's a massive panic. No, I don't think there's. It's just too early to say that. Is really
the reason why I'll be honest, Lee. Here's me honest. The reason why I'm concerned is that, unlike other transfer windows, you have to understand that we lost 6 first-team players at the end of the season. Mata, Matic, Pogba, Cavani, Lingard, and I'm missing one other person.
I think it's maybe Dean Henderson that's leaving, or
maybe Dean Henderson or something. So we lost about 5 or 6 first-team players. Okay, as part of the squad. We have a history of being very, very slow in signing players. Ralph, the letting go of Ralph for me was concerning, because for me, the impression I was under was that him and Ten Hag were going to work together to rebuild Manchester United from the ground up. The fact that he is now gone gives me the impression that we're going to just try and do this whole manager merry-go-round all over again, and basically hope that we're going to just get different results. The fact that we're spending so much time on trying to pursue De Jong, and that there is no clear evidence that we have alternatives. All I'm saying, bro, is that like it just feels like this is just the same old Manchester United. And if it is the case, then going into next season, Manchester United, I think, are going to struggle because the other teams have strengthened, and we finished very, very poorly last season. If we start the season the way we ended last season, we're not even going to be in top 10 because we were playing like a relegation fighting team.
You're right. I would wait and see though, and see how these players come in and see what Ten Hag's system comes in. But can I just go back to that point you raised, fella, about Matic and Matic? I'm sorry, mate. He was done. He was done, and he was done in that midfield. And same with Mata. We had to move on a little bit, and I still think our midfield isn't good enough either. Still, it needs to be improved. And I think Ten Hag will improve the midfield and the defense. He's got to, because we won't move forward and try and at least get a little bit better. He won't be able to. It's going to take maybe 4 transfer windows before we get really somewhere near where Klopp has achieved what he's achieved. Definitely, it's going to take a long time, and patience is going to take. But keeping Matic there in that side, nah.
No, the reason I agree, Matic. Initially I was happy to let him go because it was everything that you said, but you have to replace him. That's the truth. And the thing is, I just don't think the club is going to replace him.
Well, he's got to. That midfield needs to be strengthened. The midfield and the centre of that defence has to be strengthened. Otherwise, we're going to get highlighted again by the likes of Liverpool, Man City, and maybe some other sides there that will highlight us, and then we'll go. We might get a little bit. That's what I liked about last season, because we were so bad. It was great to meet teams like Liverpool and City because they really did highlight our inadequacies, our weaknesses in that team, and that was good to see. To be fair, that means that we do have to strengthen. We do have to bring better quality into those positions. Otherwise, you're right, like you said, fella. I think we're going to really struggle. You're right.
Agree. 100% agree. But my general feeling, and because the thing is, like, the reason I genuinely feel like the reason why the De Jong thing is like taking forever is because we're not going to make a lot of signings. I'll be stunned if Man United make more than 3 signings. The 3 signings I generally believe that we're going to make is De Jong, Anthony, and Eriksen on the free, and that is it. I don't think we're going to sign any more players.
Well, Eriksen said today, isn't he, that I don't know if he's come out. I understand that he's going to go Tottenham or stay at Brentford possibly. So that's a no-no, I don't think.
So then we're only going to.
He doesn't want to leave London.
I just don't think we're going to sign players, guys. I just don't think. I think we're stretching.
Then I'm worried. You're right. If you say that, then I am worried. We've looked at the fixtures earlier. I am going to get really concerned. Really, really concerned. That's the case. That's going to be a real worry. Really is.
I think if I don't see 2 signings before pre-season, then I think I'd be concerned, because it's one thing to say, right, we're still negotiating, going almost back to Lee's comment. It's another thing where the manager needs his play. The whole point of a preseason is that he takes the players, embeds them into system, try and works things. We can't have a situation where a week before the season starts or 2 weeks into the season, we're still negotiating for De Jong to come, and then it's like, and then fans are like, oh, why isn't De Jong starting to perform? It's like, well, he's not been embedded into the team, he's not been part of the coach's plans in terms of how to. So if Manchester United are organized, we should be getting all of our signings before the preseason, and if we get 3 signings in before the preseason, fine, let's go. But if we have nobody or even one, then yes, I think it's a good idea to get concerned, because one player coming into this squad isn't going to magically transform the squad into a top 4. I agree.
I agree 100% on that. Totally, 100% on that. It's going to take a few transfer windows to try and do it, but you're right. We're going to be in trouble. And fans, we're all fickle, aren't we? Our team starts losing 4 or 5 games or 6 games. I don't know what happened, but we then people start turning on the manager, don't they? And then we talked about the protests earlier. Then the Glazers come we'll have protests. We don't want any more of this, because I'm a bit fed up of how badly our club now is descending. We want a bit of sunlight. We want a bit of happiness. We want we want to at least smile every game, not go, oh, we got thrashed 4-0 yesterday by Liverpool and Man City. We want a bit of happiness. It's been depressing all season, but you're right, it is a worry if we don't strengthen those positions, as you said. It really will be. But like you say, it might be maybe 2 or 3. If it's just 2 or 3, it's a worry. It's a worry.
Would anyone be surprised if the club told Ten Hag, well, you want a centre back, you know you want a centre back, but you have Varane, Lindelof, and Maguire. Can you work with them? What about right back? Well, you have Wan-Bissaka and Delort. And left back, you have Palace and Luke Shaw. Can you work with them?
No, not me. I can't work with them. I'd say I'd get the red card. I wanted ruthlessness. I wanted ruthlessness from this manager. I really did. I wanted to go like Guardiola did with Joe Hart. He came and went, yeah, you're not my manager, by the way, and my goalkeeper. Well, we just met. Doesn't matter. You're gone. See ya. And I don't know if he can. I don't think he can do that, can he? Because the transfer treacle that we're involved in now. But that's what I wanted. Like you say, I don't want that right back and left back. I don't want Delort and Wan-Bissaka. I don't want Luke Shaw. I don't want Maguire. I just don't want them in his side. But you're right. They're not going to be replaced straight away, are they? They're just not.
Yeah.
Let me just ask this last two questions because we've got to bounce. So, but just one from Bath Times and Eddie. Yeah. So the first one is thoughts on De Gea, lads. If we're talking about dominating the ball in central areas, I'll go to Mike to this actual one, just as an outsider from seeing how De Gea, because obviously you have got Alisson, who I think is a fantastic keeper. Although I do think that what's his name, Kelleher, your number 2 is actually also he's also a very good keeper as well. Actually, a good number 2. What do you think about this comment? Obviously, being a Liverpool fan and seeing things.
Well, do you remember last season when it was De Gea and Maguire and they yelled at each other because Maguire couldn't pass the ball back to De Gea because I guess De Gea got in a terrible position. De Gea has never been good on his feet. I mean, I'm top 5 excellent shot stopper, but on the feet, it's not good at all. So he's going to have to improve, but he's getting old. And will he just magically over summer just turn into a great passing goalkeeper? I don't think so. So it could be worrying times if De Gea receives the ball in a tough position because Ten Hag just wants to play football. He doesn't want just to lump it forward towards Ronaldo. He just wants to play football. So could get a little bit difficult with him, and especially Maguire. I still have that image when De Gea is looking at Maguire and just absolutely fed up with him and just said, I'm done with this guy. Done. I don't know which game it was. If somebody remembers, let me know, but it was terrible.
Spot on, mate. I agree with you. Even though you're a Liverpool fan, I agree with you on that totally. And you're right, back to Gea, by the way, because I think that there's a worry there that he's getting on now. He was our player of the season this year, but you're right, we've got a new manager who plays a different system. But I watched him and Maguire this year, and Maguire wanted it back off De Gea, and De Gea went, no way, I'm not giving it to you. So, but he wanted, I mean, Maguire was trying to play like Bobby Moore at some times. He was getting caught loads of times. So, it wasn't going to happen. But you're right. We may need to look at another class quality keeper coming in there, like an Alisson that you've got. Not Henderson, not at all. Henderson was never in the running to be the number 1 at Man United. That's Cloud Cuckoo land if anyone thinks that. He wasn't. You're right though, Michael. It's interesting. Yeah.
Do you think Ten Hag compromised his style of play to suit the players if he's not backed properly? That's a very good question because that's essentially what Ralph did, in my opinion, in the end. Because I could see what Ralph wanted to do in the initial couple of games, how he wanted to play. But the players either when they either got burnt out or in the end it was like
they weren't good enough, mate. They just weren't good enough. Eddie's question is interesting actually about. Because he's the presser, isn't he? He's the press master, isn't he? Ralph Ragnick. These players weren't going to press nothing. They weren't going to press an orange. They just weren't. They just weren't going to press nothing, and they just didn't have it to press. So that all failed, didn't it? It all just failed. But, and you're right. Ralph did say some good comments at the end. In the end, he had to admit players aren't good enough, and the club's not good enough, and he could. But you're right. I think. Ten Hag comes in. It's going to take a long way. He's going to have a longer time than Ralph, isn't he, to put this right? So, but those players don't play the Ten Hag way. It's gone, isn't it? Good night, Vienna.
I mean, it's yeah. Like you said, this question is the question. This is a very good question because, like, it's just like on one point is what the fan base think. Like generally you would think the fan base would be like, oh yes, he won't compromise his style. He's going to play his way. no matter what, and if the players don't play, they won't play. But then you gotta look at the reality of it. Reality is this is a result-based business. At the end of the day, if you're having negative results and you're not doing well, your job.
Oh, Yasir still there?
Hello?
Yasir? Yeah, go on.
Can you guys
We
hear
can
me?
hear you now. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yasir? Oh, no, he's gone. Okay.
I
Sorry.
think what he was saying was it's a results industry, and
Yeah.
the buck stops with the manager. I think I've said this so many times. I think Sir Alex said it a long time ago. Unfortunately, today it's a results industry. Not many managers get that length of time. But right, Klopp did. He has had that time, so he's right. He's correct.
Sorry, I cut off, guys. I apologize.
Okay.
No, it's but last question.
RDS. Okay.
So I was just literally last question, and then we got to bounce, guys. What are you hope for this season realistically? So quickly, just go around and just give me like the position you think United are going to finish in, and then we'll round off. Paddy, where will United finish?
Yeah, top 4.
So Paddy, do you believe that?
But fourth. I didn't say top. Fourth, fifth, maybe around that area. That's all.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying in the first 3, just fourth, fifth, maybe. That's what I'm saying. I'll let you know in December, and then I may drop back down on my mind.
Mike?
5th or 6th.
5th or 6th.
But it depends on how I need to see some improvements in the squad for you guys to boost you up. At this point, this is not a top 4 team. I'm sorry, it just isn't.
That's fair. Yasir?
I think anywhere between 4th and 5th. I feel like people underestimate how unpredictable any season can be. So if things go, if we get extremely lucky, we could sneak in 4th. But realistically, I see us finishing 5th.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, I'll go with 5th. Yeah.
And I'll end with this. I think if things carry on the way they are, probably 7th, and United will have to rely on the Europa League to get to see our football as things stand. So, but hopefully I'm proven wrong.
RDS, who's going to get 6th then? Leicester or who?
So I think that obviously City and Liverpool are still going to do their thing. Chelsea are going to be doing their thing. I think Spurs will finish above us. That's 4. I think that potentially Arsenal might they did finish with us, could finish above us. And then take your pick, any one of West Ham, Liverpool, actually Brighton, Wolves. There are a lot of the teams that that have strengthened this season that United
Newcastle
could easily lose. Newcastle another option as well. Newcastle's form was obviously good towards the end of the house. So there's so many and there's some teams that have strengthened and United have weakened. So I won't be surprised.
Newcastle have a £6 billion budget, won't they? So whatever.
Exactly.
$2 billion budget. So that'd be.
But the thing is with Newcastle though is that when you're looking at some of their signings, they're making intelligent signings though. They're not doing all this superstar big name sort of stuff. They're going for I'm looking at them. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Let's scout that. The Fernandez that they got, for example, already came in. No one really knew about him. Made an instant impact. So already you're seeing they've got tons of money, but they seem to be more sensible with transfers than United have been, So
you're right.
A decent right back that Man United could have easily got. They got him.
Trippier. About Trippier, Kieran Trippier. Maybe.
Exactly, Kieran Trippier. Good signing again as well for squad. So guys, thanks so much for everyone. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. So guys, just as we finish, where can they find you on Twitter, your channels, etc.? So and then we'll bounce. Paddy, you want to start?
Yeah, I'm on Admiral Twitter, Patrick Silk 11 at Admiral on Twitter. But I am part of the Man United Agenda team, as you already know. So you can find me on there, or when I'm on there, some nights now. So that's good. That's where you can find me.
Cool. Mike?
Yeah, you can find me Talks_Michael on Twitter, and then you can follow me on my YouTube, Michael Talks Football. Pretty much talk about everything football, not just your Liverpool or United, but Nations League. I got to do an AFCON qualifiers to recap, by the way, RDS, because the Super Eagles. Why did you not have an emergency hangout? They won 10-0.
It's just. I've blocked Nigeria from my brain at least for a few months, really. So that Ghana situation is unforgivable, really. So
I don't blame you.
They've got a lot to do before I ever invest in those jokers for a while. So
don't worry, the AFCON is back next summer already.
Yeah. Oh dear. Well, we'll get to.
But big up, RDS. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, Mike. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, it. Where can they find you, man?
Prince_Yaz YAZ. And I also have a YouTube channel that I started, so YUFC. So yeah, people can find me there. RDS, like always, my brother. Thanks for having me on, man. And nice to meet the two lads there. Was it Mike and Patty?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, okay. Nice to meet you, mate. Nice to meet you. Lovely to meet you, mate. Really is lovely to meet you. Keep in touch.
Right. Peace out, guys. Take care and cheers.
Yeah, thank you.